Xiao Phong survived the calamity at 14, but survival did not mean safety. After the pact with the Fox Immortal was sealed, the world around him appeared calmer. No spirits lingered near the house, no whispers followed him in the dark. The village slowly returned to its former rhythm. Only his mother grew weaker by the day. At first it was subtle. She tired easily. Her face lost color. At night, Xiao Phong sometimes heard her coughing softly behind closed doors, each breath thin and strained, as if her lungs were filled with frost. One night, she called Xiao Phong into her room. On the table lay a piece of plain cloth, snow white, untouched by dye. Beside it were a needle, red thread, and a shallow bowl filled with blood, still warm. Xiao Phong froze. "Mother," he whispered. She smiled gently, the way she always had, but her eyes were dim, as though something inside her was already fading. "This is for you," she said, "a birthday garment," without explaining. Further, she took the needle and began to sew. Each stitch pierced the cloth with a faint, invisible glow. The thread was not ordinary silk. It was soaked in her heart's blood, infused with her life essence. As she worked, she murmured words Xiao Phong could not understand, syllables that twisted the air and weighed heavily on the room. This was no embroidery. It was a blood-written talisman sewn directly into fabric. When the garment was finished, she pressed it into Xiao Fong's hands. "Wear it once each year," she said softly. "On your birthday, do not miss a single one." Xiao Phong felt a warmth seep into his palms, followed by a sharp, aching pain in his chest. "What does it do?" he asked. She hesitated, then answered truthfully. "It will preserve your life," she said, "for 3 years." That night, Xiao Phong overheard his grandfather confronting her. "You are burning your remaining lifespan," the old man said, his voice shaking. "You don't have enough left to spare." She remained calm. "I am his mother," she replied. "What else would I use it for?" The blood garment was not merely protection. It was an exchange, 3 years of Jiao Fong's life, forcibly anchored to the mortal realm, paid for with her own remaining vitality. Every stitch shortened her time. By dawn, her hair had begun to gray. Within a month, she could no longer leave the house. Her death did not arrive with calamity. There was no lightning, no screaming spirits, no signs from heaven or earth. It came on a quiet afternoon. Xiao Phong was grinding herbs in the courtyard when the world suddenly felt empty. The air lost its weight. The birds fell silent. He dropped the mortar and ran inside. His mother lay on the bed, her breathing shallow and uneven. When she saw him, she smiled, relieved. "You came," she whispered. He knelt beside her, gripping her hand, terrified to let go. "I'm here," he said. "I'm here." She lifted her hand with great effort and brushed his cheek. "Remember," she murmured, "no matter what happens, live." Those were her final words. When her hand fell, the room felt unbearably cold. The phoenix mark on Xiao Fong's chest flared once, bright, painful, then dimmed, as if something had been severed forever. She was gone. After her death, the Chen household collapsed into silence. The father was gone. The mother was gone. Whispers followed Xiao Phong wherever he went. "Unlucky child. Anyone close to him dies. Calamity follows his shadow." Children stopped playing with him. Adults avoided his gaze. Some even turned away when he passed, as though fearing contamination. Xiao Phong became a living omen. Only his grandfather remained at his side. The old man stood taller than ever before, his presence alone enough to keep the villagers at bay. He cooked, cleaned, taught Xiao Phong what he could. Knowledge of symbols, talismans, and the unseen laws governing life and death. But age weighed heavily on him. Each year his steps slowed. Each year his eyes dimmed. On Xiao Fong's 15th birthday, he wore the blood-sown garment for the first time. The moment the fabric touched his skin, warmth surged through him, steady and grounding. The world sharpened. The oppressive pull of death receded slightly. He understood then. These 3 years were not a gift. They were a reprieve, bought at the cost of his mother's life. On his 16th birthday, the garment's warmth was weaker, but still present. On his 17th birthday, the thread darkened. The blood within it had nearly burned away. The protection was ending. The promise his mother had stitched into existence was nearing its final stitch. That night, Xiao Fong stood before his mother's grave. "I will live," he said quietly, "no matter what it costs." The wind answered with silence, but far away, forces older than grief took notice. The 3 years were almost over, and the next calamity would not wait. Xiao Fong's 17th birthday arrived beneath a sky heavy with unspoken dread. When he put on the fate-binding garment sewn with his mother's blood, there was no warmth left. The fabric felt cold, lifeless. The crimson thread had darkened to the color of ash. The 3 years of borrowed life had ended. That same year his grandfather fell ill. There was no fever, no visible pain, only a gradual depletion, like an oil lamp burning down to its final wick. The flame still flickered, but one breath of wind would be enough to extinguish it. On his last night, the old man gripped Xiao Fong's hand with surprising strength. "Remember this," he said slowly, each word pressing into bone and marrow. "Tonight, trust no one who knocks on the door." Then he smiled and released his grip. At the instant his breath ceased, the sky outside darkened unnaturally. Black clouds churned as if stirred by an unseen force. A fierce wind rose, scattering incense ash across the room. The funeral had barely begun when the anomaly occurred. When the villagers gathered to lift the coffin, it did not move. No matter how many strong men strained together, it would not budge an inch. The air suddenly grew scorching. A deep, resonant roar echoed through the courtyard. From the void emerged a fire Qilin, its body wreathed in flames, eyes burning like molten cores. It lowered its horn, slid it beneath the coffin, and lifted it skyward. Under the blazing red light, the coffin soared straight into the roiling clouds and vanished. No one dared speak. Only then did Xiao Fong truly understand. His grandfather had never been an ordinary man. The calamity did not pause for mourning. That very night, Xiao Fong sat alone in the ruined house, facing his grandfather's memorial tablet. Outside, a fine rain fell, soft as breath. There came a knock at the door. "Xiao Fong," a woman's gentle voice called, "I made you a bowl of red bean soup. It's cold tonight. Have some." A sweet fragrance drifted inside. Xiao Fong froze. Beneath the sweetness lurked a faint stench of blood. The warning echoed in his mind. He stepped back. The door creaked open by itself. A woman in gray entered, her expression kind, her eyes brimming with pity. In her hands was a steaming bowl of red bean soup. "You've suffered so much," she sighed. "Parents gone. Now your grandfather too." She stepped closer. With each step, her shadow stretched, stretching far too long, warping into a shape that no human shadow should take. Xiao Fong retreated again. She stopped, her smile twisted. "Don't be afraid." Her voice sank into a low murmur. I only wish to borrow your body, to give birth to a flesh vessel. The bowl shattered on the floor. The red beans transformed into human eyes, rolling across the ground. A female heretic cultivator, a body snatcher, one who preyed on youths with rare destinies to forge corporeal forms. The Fox Immortal's seal trembled violently. The moment the heretic raised her hand, the world exploded. A bolt of heavenly lightning tore through the roof, crashing into the center of the room. White-blue light flooded everything. A shrill, agonized scream pierced the air, so sharp that Xiao Phong felt blood trickle from his ears. The heretic was hurled backward, her body scorched, half of it dissolving into black smoke. As she disintegrated, her curse echoed with venomous clarity. The Phoenix vessel has been exposed. They will all come for you. The thunder ceased. The house lay in ruins. From the void came the Fox Immortal's faint laughter, touched with weariness. I have kept my word, her voice said. I have borne one tribulation for you. The rest you must carry yourself. The seal unraveled. No further lightning fell. Xiao Phong collapsed to his knees, trembling. He understood with chilling certainty. From this moment on, the Fox Immortal would no longer intervene. Xiao Phong did not sleep that night. He sat amid the wreckage, facing the memorial tablets of his grandfather and mother, rain dripping through the shattered roof. The seals were gone. The blood garment had lost its power. His grandfather had ascended. The Fox Immortal's protection was spent. He had become an open target. Demons, spirits, heretics, every force drawn to the Phoenix fate would follow its trail to him. 17 had only just begun, but the calamities had already formed a chain, and the chain had no intention of breaking. Mo tanoi dong, 3052, sao jai kiep tuoi moi bon, Xiao Phong mat me vi huyet I bao men. Ong noi lan luot qua joy va hien, lo tan fan fi fam. Hibuak sang moi bay, mo bao ho tan bien, yu talo dain, shui kip nan chin thu koi jong.